I was going to talk about Princess Bride a little as well because BB, you have a life raft in an ocean of nonsense. Oh, well, there's a lot of people that do. It's just they're never on the media because of how the media is designed. I'm a maniac listening to Andre. All right, so today is 9/11. So for the first time in my stream's history, I will be discussing 9/11. And the way I want to do it is I took a video from Quantum of Conscience. He uploaded a video that said key clips to save, because the internet has this funny way of scrubbing a lot of clips that are used around great deceptions. And the way I want to talk about 9/11 is the mechanics of the deception. I think a lot of the forces at work are bigger than a lot of us can understand. And so to assign blame is a level 1 or level 2 mistake. But we're going to look at the clips from that day, from the media, and the days following, and we are going to just discuss it together. And this is one of those topics that has a lot of anger and rabbit holes and ups and downs because it's so recent and so mind-blowingly deceptive. So I'm going to try and be as gentle as possible. I know that sounds weird coming from me, but when I'm discussing the shape of the earth or something, people getting mad, it's on you. Like that, you're just an idiot if you get furiously angry at that. We're just talking geometry. 9/11, I understand people getting upset. People have lost friends, family members in the wars that were caused by it. Of course, millions and millions of Middle Eastern people were slaughtered from it. The amount of fear that the media used has caused a lot of mental anguish in people. So it's something that I do actually understand. Unlike talking about whether or not if a nuclear bomb is real. Like if you're mad at that, then you just like being mad. But 9/11, if people are upset about these topics, I understand that. Because real deaths occurred from it. Real people got cancer, first responders. Real people have their thyroid gland is just gone. And the amount of wizardry that has been used, it's pretty mind-blowing. All right, let me see if you guys are here. We got a few thousand people here. Love it, BB, at work now. All right, but first we're going to talk about The Princess Bride, and it oddly does relate. So last night, I was doing an Instagram stream asking the Bears about what movies to watch that my 3-year-old can watch. And Princess Bride seemed like a good one. I always liked it growing up. There's a lot of odd windows into truth in it. I watched it with fresh eyes last night. And I just like to go over a little of the mechanics of Princess Bride because it is related to 9/11. Because it's okay. So these men approach. I'm only going to talk about one aspect of Princess Bride. So these men approach a princess in the woods, and they say, and they start with a deception. They say, "We are but lonely travelers trying to find we are lost circus performers. Will you help us?" This is there was a group of people centuries and centuries ago called Khazarians that would impersonate others on highways, the Silk Road, all over the place. They were tricksters, and they would assault and steal from people. And so this is how the Princess Bride works. A Khazarian tradition is to pretend to need help and then steal. So these people, as you can see, representing different aspects of life. I believe Andre the Giant represents America, and the little guy represents a tribe of people that, made this movie. So the princess said, there's no one around for miles. And then the grabbler, the little guy, steps forward and says, then there will be no one to hear you scream. And then he takes her, right? And so then they're on this ship. And the whole point of taking the princess, the red-dressed whore of Babylon, is the grabbler here. He puts a piece of her dress on a horse, and he's saying, we're starting a war with Gilder. Starting wars is an ancient and honored tradition. And so he's like, when they find her body at the plains of Gildor, they'd have to go to war. I never caught on to that. He's creating a literal red flag, a false flag with the princess. So, and you find out later the prince paid him to do this, paid the grabbler. This is so 9/11, guys. So the grabbler is orchestrating it, right? And so then what happens? Well, the hero, I'm summing this up pretty quick, but this scene is very powerful. It's the false binary scene. So the hero is taking out the swordsman. The hero is taking out the giant. And I believe the giant represents, let me just show you. Like the giant represents America and the little guy's the grabbler. And the little guy's like, I'm going as fast as I can. And yet he gains. When I found you, you were some colossus. I'll send you back where I found you. Unemployed in Greenland. Okay, so you have this little man, this little grabbler, who's manipulating the giant. And the giant is only good at fighting wars against at least 6 people. That's how the masked man beat him, is the giant is not capable, the empire, America, is not capable of fighting just one man. And that is how he's taken down. And he's suffocated. Because he can't hit one, you can't kill a mosquito with a cannon, right? And so this little grabbler, just the textbook grabbler, has taken control of the giant to serve his needs of starting a foreign war by kidnapping the Whore of Babylon and using it as a false flag. This is the plot of Princess Bride. This isn't okay. And then what happens? So the binary is set up. This is why I always say watch out for binaries. That's why when people say sphere Earth, flat Earth, I say it's a realm. You know, are you Republican or Democrat? I'm a nationalist. Never go with the binary. So the battle of wits has begun, right? So they sit down and the man now has to fight this man with wits. There's 2 cups with wine. And he says, this is iocane powder, right? And he says, which one do you drink? One of us who will win and who will be dead, right? And the little guy's like, have you heard of Plato, Aristotle, Socrates? Morons. So he's very arrogant about his intellect. And so he's already lost because it's a binary. He thinks that there's one right answer and one wrong answer, when in reality, both will kill him, right? So he's saying, well, I know you're a very strong man, so the poison cannot be in front of me. And I know you're a very skilled man, so the poison must not be in front of you. What's that over there? And then he goes, what? And he switches it and he goes, oh, nothing. And then he drinks it and he goes, what you forget is never fight a land war in Asia, referring to Iran and Russia. He goes, and what's slightly less well known is never fight a Sicilian. Sicilian, okay. When death is on the line, and then he just falls over dead. And you find out that the masked man says, the masked man says, are you guys enjoying this so far? I poisoned both. They were both wrong. So when you're presented with a binary, always be suspicious. Are you red team or are you blue team? Are you Republican or are you Democrat? Are you a liberal or are you a conservative? Are you in the Crips or are you in the Bloods? It's like, as soon as you see that, understand that both cups are poisoned. And you say, I have developed an immunity to iocane powder. That's how he won. So what does that mean? It means the armor of God. You know, and this movie isn't made by Christians. You can see that it's all made by grabblers. So but it's a window into truth. And this isn't pre-programming. This is how art works. When I made Gay Town for Sony 11, 12 years ago, there's scenes with gay pride parades. You know, straight people have beard boyfriends so they don't get arrested, right? I wasn't pre-programming. I saw an irony. I was just making art, and then a lot of it came true. And I was like, wow, how did I do that? So truth will just come out in narratives because what people like and what people are drawn to, there has to be truth in it. So then what happens? The masked man gets his bride back, And then they're confronted in the desert. The prince approaches, the corrupt prince, and she, like a woman, this is why women have a problem in politics, is he says, death first, even though he's outnumbered. Male, freedom, right? Freedom! She says, if you promise not to hurt him. And they're like, what was that? And the men are like, what? And she's like, if you promise not to hurt him, I'll come with you. And they're like, oh, great, yeah. And then you realize that that's when everything falls apart. There is no safety in politics. There is no safety in life. There is no... A promise from a madman, a promise from a psychopath is worth less than zero. So when that happens, when you take safety over freedom, when you get rid of guns so no one gets shot, that's when you enter the pit of despair, right? And so taking the ticket of safety over freedom because of a promise, you end up in something called the pits of despair. And then this transgender person comes out and says, welcome to the pits of despair. And then the joke is he has something in his throat. Welcome to the pits of despair. Don't even think about trying to escape. You know, and it was, for those of you that saw one of my favorite lines, we are men of action. Lies do not become us. Exactly. There's a constant back and forth between the masculine and the feminine in this movie. So the masculine allows the man to, the honor of men. He allows the man to get to the top of the cliff before he fights them, right? And then when the other one, when the Spaniard loses and he says, kill me quickly, and he goes, I'd be more likely to smash a stained glass window than kill someone as skilled as you. He's like, but I can't have you following me. Boom, right? So the men, you know, and the giant has this rock, and he's like, I could have killed you with the rock, but that wouldn't have been very fair. And so the men are all engaged in fair combat. And the woman isn't. The woman is like, if you promise not to hurt him. Every guy's like, what? And so when you take the female ticket of nonsense, you enter the pits of despair. So this is when things get very interesting. The six-fingered man, the number 6, right? The six-fingered man. He's developed something, a torture device called the machine. As we all know, the machine, welcome, my son, welcome to the machine. As Pink Floyd told us, the machine is, what did you dream? It's all right, we told you what to dream. The machine is a synonym for the system. So the system is a slow torture device set up to take the soul of man. And it's done by a six-fingered sadist, right? A demon. This is a demon. The demons in real life and in movies, represented here by the six-fingered man, eat and suckle fear as if in pain to nourish them. And they're cowards. So this man's there, he's like, I spent half my life making this machine. I just took 1 year of your life away. One day we might go as high as 5, but I really don't know what will happen. Right? And they're 9/11 turned the machine up to 50. That's a fascinating observation. So they're just simply draining the life force of this. This is your job. This is your commute. This is the DMV. The machine is the little clamps every day that go around your body that keep you like this. And how did you get there? How did you get to the pits of despair? You took safety over freedom. If you promise not to hurt him. What was that? There's no protection from man in this realm. Only God. If you accept the promises of a man to save you, you will enter the pits of despair. Just like in that cartoon I showed you guys a while back of the want to be a member? You have this guy walking on the street and he falls into the pits of despair and he never gets out. It's just a binary, forever. The fear machine, right. People's minds are gravy. There's 3,100. Oh, great. A lot of people are here. So as the six-fingered man, and the 6 is no coincidence, is torturing him slowly, DMV, treatable cancer, a little too fat, custody hearings, and what does the hero do? He whimpers. The hero is man. He whimpers. And he gets off on the whimpering. He's like, yeah, whimper, be scared. The pits of despair, and it's all about not being able to get down. So the king, the corrupt state comes down, and he's furious at this guy. And in an act of rage, he cranks it to 50. And the six-fingered man says, not to 50. And the whole reason it's not to 50 is because they didn't know what will happen. You know? And all these factors all combined for major false flag events. Like for the Kennedy assassination, you need a very jealous and envious and President Johnson. You need a compliant mafia. You need political issues with banks and Israel and all. You need it all to come together to make an event that catastrophically deceptive and life-altering, right? And so one aspect is the demon getting off on the torture. Another aspect is, Vizzini, this little guy with this giant, and now you have the corrupt king, the corrupt state, and he just, anger, boom. And so it goes too fast, and it kills him too quickly, and so the torture, the drip stops. Ironically, if he hadn't done that, the hero would still be in the pit of despair because it went too fast. It wasn't supposed to go to 50. It was only supposed to go as high, maybe to 5, to slowly suck the life from somebody with despair. You can't wake people up that fast. If you can't go that fast, you can't boil the frog too quickly. Right. And so then what happens? You have the way, this wasn't written by Christians. This was written by people that are into alchemy. So Miracle Max, Billy Crystal, is a cucked grabbler to this babbler, and she's like, liar, 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 this is a wife of a man. If no wife of a real man speaks to their man in front of mixed company that way, because now the Spaniard and the giant, the honorable revenge guy, and then the America, the giant, just this kind of dumb oaf, but so strong. They team up and they need the hero's brains to fight the corrupt king. And so they bring him to Miracle Max and they use alchemy to wake him up, right? And so then, do you guys remember what the giant puts on when to get into to beat the 30 men to get inside the castle? Do you remember what it was called? A Holocaust cloak. Rewatch the movie. It's called a Holocaust cloak. And without the Holocaust cloak, they couldn't have set fire to themselves and then enter the castle. Bear in mind, this movie is written by and acted by people who come from a tradition of Khazarians. And these people basically are just deceptive guys that live on trade routes to trick people into taking their gold, and they kill them with deception. So another deceptive, and they're still doing it. They do it all the time. It's their art. As Vizzini, not Vizzini, it's is that his name? Brags about that starting wars is a time-honored tradition, false flagging wars. And so the miracle they needed, so they use a Holocaust cloak. That's what's called in The Princess Bride. Of all the words they could use, they used the Holocaust cloak to shield themselves as they deceive to get inside the city gates again, right? And this is when things get fascinating. So the revenge guy, who the six-fingered man had killed his father, he finally has him cornered. The demon. The six-fingered man is the demon. And the demon, this man wanted to do an honorable fight, and the demon just throws a knife in his gut. And then as the revenge guy is, Inigo Montoya, is dying, the demon gets off on it. He comes over and he's like, what a tragedy. You've waited your whole life to meet me, and this is how it ends. How marvelous. And he's suckling off the despair and the fear, right? Like a demon does. You have demons right now doing that to you, by the way. And he slowly stands up and he's uttering logo. It's his logos, the word. He's saying, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. And he's like, and he just keeps saying it. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. And then this guy starts going, stop saying that, because demons hate the word. They hate anything true. And he keeps going, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. It's giving him strength, you know? A Christian would call it the Holy Spirit is forming it again, but this is written by Grabler. So to them, it would be called a spell or a chant. I don't know. But he's saying, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Like a Christian would be saying, be not afraid. Or they would be reciting something that's written over and over again in the Bible, you know. And then finally, what does the demon do? Straight up Bible stuff. The demon says, I want money. And he says, yes, anything you want. I'll give you all the gold in the world. It's right out of the temptation of Christ, right? I do have demons. Everyone needs to hear it. Thank you for your bravery, BB. Everybody has demons. Everybody. They suckle on your sins. They eat it. They literally eat it, and they're cowards. Because as soon as this demon is confronted with truth, the demon begs him to stop. I'll give you all the money in the world. He's trying to appeal to his appetites. And what does Inigo say? He says, I don't want money. You killed my father, you son of a bitch, and just kills him. Because the demon is a coward. The demon ran from man. The demon hides in a little despair dungeon. In reality, the demon is very weak. Without your fear and without your sin, it doesn't have anything. So that's a little breakdown. Absolute gravy. I want my father back, you son of a bitch. Yeah, exactly. BB is putting Devin Stack to shame. No, I'm not. He's great, but this is also great. It can all be great. It's not a competition. I love the way you think, BB. Right, but this brings me to 9/11 because I haven't talked about 9/11 because there's so much here, and I want to do a good job. So that set the tone for what we're about to talk about because it has a lot of the same elements. So just look at Time Magazine, which is made by Grabblers, by the ancient Khazarian deceptors. You have Time, right? And then we'll watch all the events. So this is the killing of the princess, the whore of Babylon, and leaving her body on the frontier, you know, and it'll start a war. And you got to remember the Grabbler was hired by the corrupt prince. You know, you find that out during Princess Bride. And so then what happens? Fear comes in. Anthrax. You ever hear about anthrax anymore? Anthrax letters. You might as well see someone going like this. Anthrax letters, FBI warnings, Bin Laden's videotapes, bombarded by threats, real and imagined, a nation on edge. What's next? What's next? They already know what they're feeding you, what next will be. Are we ready for war? When you're dealing with a traumatized population who just witnessed this amount of trauma, they just switched. That's not Osama bin Laden. That's Saddam Hussein. That has nothing to do, and they always do it. This is called a rhetorical question. How hard is it to not be a Nazi, says Obama about Trump. The reason they can say this is because it still falls under the rule of the machine. Because are we ready for war implies that this is even a binary now. War or no war. No. Why would we just go fight the mustache guy? He had nothing to do with 9/11. But people fall under spells. So it starts with the killing of the princess, and then the suggestion, the magic, and the fear. And then why the war on terror will never end. So you're scared of Osama bin Laden? Well, now it'll never end. Welcome to the pits of despair. Don't even think about trying to leave. Right? Look at this. Welcome to the pits of despair. So this is trying to make everybody feel hopeless. Hopeless is part of all of it. Hopeless. You guys can. This is. Listen. This is something I'm not going to do today. I can see in the chat already. Everybody, like, I'm going to talk about the big narrative of all of it, the big deception, the spiritual elements of it. You guys can talk all you want about if it was CIA or Mossad or all. That's all pissed on breadcrumbs, as Matt from Quantum of Conscience says. That's all iocane powder in one cup and not the other. You're missing the whole thing if you're still looking at which cup is poisoned. They're both poisoned. So how do you do it? You get an immunity to iocane powder. How is that possible? Prayer. You know, get your own food. Get a wife. Have children. Thank God for our existence. All right, so anyway. So this is the mechanics of deception, right? So now everyone can be a bin Laden. What does that remind you of? You're right back in the pits of despair. Don't even think about trying to escape. And so, what's next? Facing the fury. This is another Grabler trick. Can Bush's strategy, a two-front war of military action and humanitarian aid, get bin Laden without further inflaming the Muslim world? Why is any of this happening? Right? And that we're about to watch a lot of footage from that day, right? But this question should never have been asked because it's all nonsense. So the buildings go down, and we're now fighting Iraq and Afghanistan, and now there's just a face of an angry Muslim that is now the face of our enemy that didn't exist. It's the Gilder Frontier. It's a dead princess that was killed by the Grabler, the Giant, and the Revenge guy. That's the satanic trinity. You have the Colossus, America. You have the Grabler, Israel. And then you have someone seeking revenge. I don't know what, there's elements of it I don't understand. And a lot of it goes back to ancient Egypt, like the Eye of Horus and stuff. Okay? There's elements of this I'll never understand, but the symbolism is repetitive. And I know I've like my gift that I can give you people right now is my ability to see pattern recognition. I'm showing you Princess Bride being the same as 9/11, and it'll help you with this stuff. Just trust me. The last days of the Taliban. Well, I thought that it was never going to end. All right, so anyway, the last day of the Taliban. It's about to get very interesting at this point. Watch this. So then, peace is hell. Okay, they have to do a spell, they have to hide it in plain sight. They have to show you what they're doing. 3 months after Baghdad fell, Americans are still struggling to bring, listen, ready? Order out of chaos. That's Freemasonry. Freemasonry is to create chaos and then make order out of it. It's all from nothing. They start with nothing. They make the chaos and then they try and bring order out of it. The cover of Time magazine is Peace is Hell. Abracadabra. They're bringing hell into this world. Okay. Where's this one shot that's fascinating? So, lifting the veil, right? Lifting the veil. They now show you a Muslim woman who was always covered. And the shocking story of how Taliban brutalized their women of Afghanistan. How much better will their lives be now? It won't be better. You've killed millions and millions of them. Millions. Millions and millions are dead. And let me just show you the timeline again. So, abracadabra. This is how it happens. Trauma. The princess dies on the Gilder Frontier. And then the nation is full of fear. Fear factor. Anthrax. FBI warnings. Bin Laden's videotapes. Bombarded by threats. Real or imagined. A nation on edge. What's next? And people start getting this feeling of like, what is next? Please, someone tell me. And you're only susceptible to this if you don't have God. It's like, because you want man to save you. How are we going to... Can you save me? Sure. Are we ready for war? What war? Who's that guy? Is that has to do with 9/11? His name, he's got a mustache. And then, terror's never going to end. Oh no, I'm still back in the pits of despair. Facing fury. That guy looks really angry. Two-front war. I mean, as long as it helped, it gets me out of this pit of despair. There's no end to the pit of despair when you take the ticket. Binary. What are you going to do? Are you going to let him take your guns or are you going to kill a cop? Both answers lead to hell. Okay. The last days of the Taliban. Oh, so finally peace. No, peace is hell. Once you're in this world, in this state of the fallen man, you can't get out. You're always certain. It's like a heroin addiction. It's like, if you just give me peace, there is no peace in man. There's never going to be peace for you if you live like that. And then you'll get angry at anyone telling you truth, like me, or a priest, or one of those dudes in the mosques. I always forget their names, imam or whatever, or just like Matt from Quantum of Conscience. I don't even think he's religious, but every day he's trying to get to the bottom of what's going on. When you are in this binary hell, you'll just be like, la, 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 conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory. One of the millions and millions and millions of Muslims that were slaughtered, civilians in the Middle East because of this magic trick. And then people are still in this binary. Well, they'll say, well, I saw a Muslim behead a Christian. It's like, dude, drone striking weddings because of the ping off a cell phone, bro. And if you don't condemn it, you're part of it. Well, you can't stop it. I'm not here to stop it. I can't stop that. I'm not in that machine. I don't have the ability of stopping that. None of us do. What we have is the ability of speaking truth. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Stop saying that. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Speak the truth. The demons hate it because they can't feed on it. Duality is the corporation of Satan. Exactly. Now we're going to get into the deception of the actual event, right? The deception of the event. 4,000 on a backup account and saying, right, truth spreads because people need this to fight demons. You have demons on your shoulder right now that are trying to scare you, and they feed off your fear. Every day they suckle your fear. Every day. I can't have kids or they're coming. The oceans are rising. 5G's coming. There's no bees. AIDS. The Amazon's burning. You're just sitting there, and they're just going. It's just, that's a fact. This is a known thing. Okay, so, and the reason that they want to demonize people like me is because I'm helping you put on armor. And the armor is it's just whatever the truth is. The Princess Bride was written by, performed by, directed by all grabblers. There's a ton of truth in it. So it's not just like this group's right and this group isn't. As soon as you do that, you've already accepted that your Savior is man. No, your Savior is Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the only God. Wear the armor. It's the only shot you got. Or else you will end up in a pit of despair, confronted with two nonsense binary, red pill or blue pill. Red pill or blue pill. Want to know what another option is? I don't take pills given to me by random black guys in trench coats. I did that joke as soon as that movie came out. When people are like, oh, you red pill, you blue pill. It's like, I don't take pills from random black guys in trench coats. Well, no, you got to take a pill. No, I don't. Why? Red pill or blue pill? Neither. Well, no, you have to take one. And that's my background as an actor is helping me understand all these truths. Because I know how a set works. I know how a script works. I know how a director works. If I was a cast member of the show Punk'd. Like, I used to be a part of a script that was used to humiliate a celebrity on camera. I was a part of the 3-6 Mafia one, the guy from O-Town, a bunch of them, dude. I was like one of the guys. The Ashley Parker Angel. I was the dude with the at the zoo where the gorilla was going after his wife, and it was a fake gorilla. I was one of these guys. I know what it is. If you just say, I don't want to do this anymore, they're like, no, but you have to, do your thing. And it's like, no, why? It's like, well, because if not, then we don't get to play our fun games. It's like, okay, so anyway. What was I just showing you guys? All right, let's start talking about the deception of the day itself. Because God, if you try to understand what God is, you can't understand God. We're just mortal men. But Satan doesn't destroy. Satan deceives man into destroying. I did a post today where I said, God is a farmer. Satan is a thespian. God is an engineer. Satan is a lawyer. Right? Satan can't destroy. Satan tricks man into destroying. So someone says, who destroys? Man. Who creates? Man. God. If God breathes creation into you, like your ability of growing crops or engineering or something, that's from God. If you're a deceiver and a destroyer, that's from Satan. It's very, very obvious when you see it. And the deceivers, like George W. Bush, do you know how many Iraqis he killed? None. 0. He got everyone else to do it. An eyeball. An eyeball is so intricate. It's like the hands of God. You can just see it, just making you be able to see light. You can hear Bach. You can taste a tomato you grew yourself with a little bit of salt on it, you know, and some homemade mozzarella cheese. You can touch your baby. You know, you can smell the aromas of a home cooked meal that your wife is making, right? And somehow you take a gun and you put it in your mouth and you blow this creation away. That's unbelievable to me. That Satan has the ability with his fear and his demons to make you look at this. Look at what you've been given. You're given eyes to see, ears to hear, a mouth to taste, a nose to smell, hands to touch. And what do you do with it? You say, well, there's no point in anything. And you just take a gun and Satan doesn't do it. You put it in your mouth and you blow your brains out. That's what this is all about. Don't ever do that. Don't ever, your beautiful skull, your beautiful brain, your beautiful eyes, don't hurt them. And then look at someone else with it. It's the image of God. Kill the image of God, right? Your face is the image of God. And so when the demon gets you to kill that, you know, the demon gets women to abort their own babies. You have to do it. You have free will. Free will has been given to you by God, and your world will be surrounded by liars and demons and tricksters, but they have to make you do it. It all started with, in The Princess Bride, you know, that moment in the woods. We are but poor circus performers. You know, it's the trick, you know, because there is rules to all of this. There's rules to all of this. They can't just kill you and humiliate you. Satan's deal with God isn't that. God would just kill Satan if that was the case. They have to make you do it to yourself. They have to make you feel ungrateful. They have to make you destroy the image of your Father, God, the Father. Humiliate yourself. You have to choose it or else the test wasn't real. Because this is a test. All right, so let's talk about 9/11. It's pretty funny. Steel frame buildings have existed for over 100 years. Only 3 have collapsed due to fire. All 3 were leased by the same man, and all 3 collapsed on the same day. His name was Larry Silverstein. He is Vincini. He's classic Vincini. That's why this is way bigger than Grab Wars, guys. The Grabbler is okay. The Grabbler. This is why some people that focus just on one group, they don't ever see it. This is the Grabbler, right? Just that's all he is. And then that's America, the Colossus, unemployed in Greenland. He's just trying to serve his little Grabbler because he's just trying to do a good job. He's like, faster, I'm carrying 3 people. And yet he gains. Don't say that, Vincini. That's America. It's just being like, I'm trying. The Colossus, Andre the Giant, this just represents the average American being like, I just want to do the right thing. It's like, faster, or I will send you back to Greenland. It's like, don't say that, Vincini. And he has so much power that he doesn't even know how to fight one man. He has to fight 10. It's hilarious. And so the Grabbler is Larry Silverstein. That's the guy. He couldn't help himself but to do a little Grabbler lightning. He took out insurance policies on all his buildings for a terrorist attack. Like, he couldn't help himself. He's just like, ugh. He couldn't help himself. He's not the architect. It's so much bigger than this. The architect is Abel versus Cain. You know? And yet he gains. 2 planes brought down 3 buildings. Boomers, right? I'm assuming we all know that 9/11 is a deception as we're doing this. I'm assuming that that is known. But we'll just keep going. I'm not here to convince you that it wasn't 2 buildings. Because if you're at that, I don't know. Maybe I am. I don't know. But that's just so not even close. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm an Air Force pilot. And based on my experience, the story we've been told about 9/11 doesn't add up. It's not only not possible, there isn't an airline pilot on the planet that thinks people that were trained on little Cessnas that could barely fly Cessnas could hijack a jumbo jet, do that, that crazy turn. And it's not remotely possible. Not only is that not possible, steel frame buildings don't go down from fire. Not even close. You can speculate on what it is. We'll get to that in a little bit. But it never has happened and it never will happen because it's not possible. And I understand why people believe it because of trauma, because that's how this works. Like this, that awkward moment when the BBC reports the demolition of World Trade Center 7 26 minutes before it actually happened. There, you can see it right there, and they reported it. Did that woman know? Probably not. She was reading cue cards. I'm an actor, guys. I've been an actor. They'll just tell you what to say, and you're like, oh, if I say this, the director had control. Like, it's like when I was on Punk, they'd be like, your job is to spray everybody with the fire hose and get her to start freaking out. I'm like, okay. I don't know the big picture. I was just one of the, it would be the equivalent of like the cops, some of these Secret Service on 9/11. We'll get to this when I play this video, but it's like, they don't know the grand plan. Like this lady had no idea. She's just reading the cue cards. The guy who wrote the cue card, no idea. They're all little pieces in a master thing. Just like in The Princess Bride. Like did the Colossus, the revenge guy just needed to pay the bills. He's like, there's not a lot of money in the revenge business. So I work for Vincini. He doesn't care about starting a war. He doesn't even, when they first kidnapped the princess, they didn't even know that they were doing it to start a war. Vincini told them, and they're like, really? He's like, eh. And Vincini, which is Larry Silverstein, is just trying to do his grabbly stuff. And then the state is the prince, the Cheneys and the Bushes. And then there's levels that you'll never see. There's puppet masters, 2 puppet masters, 2 puppet masters, 2 puppet masters, 2 puppet masters. All right, now let's watch the good stuff. And let's just relax and enjoy ourselves, have some coffee.
Was sitting outside the classroom waiting to go in, and I saw an airplane.
He was reading the book. There was no TV in the classroom, but whatever. That's not really a very important clip, but it's just nonsense. And I thought to myself, that's a terrible pilot. Okay, that's what you thought to yourself? As you just saw like a bunch of Americans die? It's just so psychopathic.
I hear like an engine sound, and the plane was like, as it was going really fast. And I didn't think of anything, so I kept on walking. All of a sudden, you heard a loud explosion, so we all ran to...
But other than that, it's kind of quiet around the country. We like quiet. It's quiet. It's too quiet. And we have learned a couple of things this morning. In fact, we're starting a new feature. First of all, we've noticed that for some reason, several people in our audience have worn various shades of purple.
You got to understand that, like a clip like this, like purple is the color of royalty that goes back to some real nefarious people. Like when they killed Prince, allegedly, Purple Rain was it was the day that it was the Queen's birthday, so Purple Rain and Purple Rain was shown all over the world in the color purple. And so on 9/11, they make sure they highlight how many women that are standing together are wearing a purple dress. None of this is by accident. This is all scripted. Trust me, and this is all possible. Some people think this is all like a simulation or something. No, I've been a part of these things. But for me, it was all comedy. It was on the show Punk'd, or when I would host shows that would be just happening in real life. If I possessed the script, I could, execute my role. So this is all possible. Don't let it spook you. This is all magician stuff.
Just by coincidence? Did you all call each other and plan this?
No.
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 And even
Thank you. Back here in New York, we are reports now that 2 more buildings at the World Trade Center complex are burning now and in danger of collapsing. 2 more buildings. The fires are said to be in buildings 7 and 5.
So this is all setting up more. Oh, and by the way, do you know that there was below the World Trade Center was a basement and a vault? I read somewhere that it was the size of the Empire State Building, like just down, full of gold and silver. That's another aspect. That's another web, like another little strand to get another group of people in. It's just money, you know. It was full of gold and silver.
This morning, it was towers 1 and 2 that were hit by the airplanes and that collapsed. There are now fears of more fire and a possible collapse in buildings 7 and.
See, you can tell that this is all scripted because fire has never caused a collapse in a building ever. We're going to get to building 7. There's tons of material here, but no one's ever reported that ever before or will ever again. When someone says, there's a fire in a steel frame building, no one's ever like, well, we're worried about collapse. They're setting up the public so that the public expects what they already have set up. It's incredibly important. No one saw the first plane hit. Yeah, well, we'll get to all that.
Something some people might not know. The World Trade Center is actually a complex of a total of 7 buildings, of which the 2 most prominent were.
And by the way, the number 7 is very important, and so is 9/11. 9/11, a lot of people say, is the birthday of Jesus Christ. Can't confirm that, but it would make a lot of sense.
Gathering even more innocent victims.
Mary and Jim, I have another update.
Yeah, the tower stood for 33 years. A lot of people say that they were built to fall. There's one shot of the 2 towers that look exactly like an Egyptian obelisk. That it would have, at a certain time on a certain day, the shadow of the 2 buildings would look exactly like an Egyptian obelisk on the water. Right near the Statue of Liberty, which is, as we all know, is a gift from the Freemason Illuminati from France. And it is a 7-pointed star on his head. It's a dude, but that's for another thing.
Right now, it just was handed to me. 7 World Trade Center, which is located on Betsy Street. It's a 60-story building. Firefighters on the scene say that building is right now severely leaning towards the south.
No, it isn't. It wasn't at all. And that never happened. We'll get to that. That's really funny. Again, Matt from Quantum of Conscience is a legend. I got this video from him.
However, the Israeli government is said by sources to believe that Osama bin Laden is responsible for the operation. And those 2 organizations are related, but they are not.
They had it ready to go. They had their villain ready to go that day. That day. And once you cement the villain, it's called anchor pricing. This is all low-level negotiation tactics. You know, once you brand. Oh, that's another aspect of the Princess Bride I forgot to get to. Is branding. When Wesley was Dread Pirate Roberts, and he was like, the Dread Pirate Roberts revealed to me that I am not the Dread Pirate Roberts. You know, that his guy wasn't either. The Dread Pirate Roberts was like generations before. It's the branding. The Dread Pirate Roberts became the brand of pirate. And it's very similar to all this stuff. When Osama bin Laden became the brand of the guy who did it, it's very hard to get it out of your head. Like Google is the brand. You know, Google. It's now a verb to Google something. You know, that's why DuckDuckGo is having a hard time at it. Because... and all the money in the world can't change the wizardry of it. I did an event once for Bing. I hosted a whole event for Bing. Bing had all the money, and they couldn't get people to Bing because Google had already cemented it. It's like when you think of car rental, you think of, first thing you think of is Hertz, then Avis, then Enterprise. And after that, it's just, sorry, it's too late. And so once they get bin Laden, it's all about repetition. And there really is an art to this. Hypnotism is real. The power of suggestion, wizardry, alchemy, right? It's evil as fuck, but it's real.
Exactly the same.
Reporting and speculating is that there is only one terror organization in this world that could coordinate this
Think about that statement. Just think about that statement right there. There's only one. Of course that's not true. You have all the states in the world, like all, according to Time Magazine that I showed you guys yesterday, they didn't know who had the bomb. So you're telling me out of all the countries in the world, all the little terrorist groups, all the bad people, They're like, there's only one possibility for this. And the only way this works is the trust and the authority in the media. And that's gone now, which is a good thing for people. Because this could never happen again. That's hubris. Could happen again. But they like this way of getting media, it won't happen again.
Of event, and that would be something operated by Osama bin Laden. Intelligence officials say he is in Afghanistan, where he has been protected by the Taliban. And as we know, the United States has.
Okay. So think about that. And think about how long it took to find him and get him. So the day of the attack, they're like, this is this guy who worked for the CIA, by the way, under the name I can't remember his name. It's really funny though. What it was that Mormon guy. What was his name? Olson? No. Tim Olson? I can't remember his name, but Osama bin Laden worked for the CIA for decades. What was the guy's name? Osama died in 2001? Probably. They were trying to get a war well going before 9/11. Yeah, but what was his name? Tim Osman. Tim Osman was his alias. And Osama bin Laden wasn't even in on it. You know, this is what they do. They set people up to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, like Timothy McVeigh. You know, he worked for the government. He worked for the Army or the Marines or something. It's like they said that he was stalking the Oklahoma City bombing and casing it out for like months, but yet on the day of, he like asked for directions and couldn't find it. It's the same with Lee Harvey Oswald. They're just pieces in a much larger puzzle. So Osama bin Laden is just working for the CIA, you know, doing stuff. And then he probably turned on the news and was like, oh, shit. And then there was just like, you know, he's probably just taken out. And then they used his brand and his image to just keep the wars going. Don't take the ticket, guys. Don't work for people like this. Because Osama bin Laden must have taken like 80 tickets to get to the place where this is him. You know, like Lee Harvey Oswald tried to shoot a governor. He was like going to Cuba and stuff. Like, how do you not think like, wait a minute, are they setting me up for something?
Let's go to Paul Bremer now, Ambassador Paul Bremer, who is the chairman of the National Commission on Terrorism. Mr. Ambassador, do we have any idea whatsoever who may be responsible?
So this is 11 a.m. Think about how not real this is. Think about how any law enforcement agency works. They already have all these experts in studio ready to go with exactly who did it. Think about a murder trial. Think about anything. They wouldn't just immediately say that. What if it wasn't bin Laden? It's like, think about this is 11 a.m. on September 11, 2001. The first plane hit at 9:30 allegedly. It wasn't a plane. All right.
Probably are 4 possible candidates.
And someone just said, so depressing, banned for life. If this depresses you, then you have a demon sucking on your brain. All right, here we go.
There's the Osama bin Laden Al-Qaeda group that you've been talking about.
Just at this moment, you're a terrorism expert,
counterterrorism. I hope,
and can talk to us a little bit about.
That's a funny little slip up. You're a terrorism expert, counterterrorism. It's like no terrorism, like you're the terrorist.
Who could? I mean, there are a limited number of groups who could be responsible for something of this magnitude.
Look at the black guy over there. He's like, they let me hang out in the big house.
Yes, this is a very well planned, very well coordinated attack, which suggests it's very well organized centrally. And there are only 3 or 4 candidates in the world, really, who could have conducted this attack.
Bin Laden comes to mind right away, Mr. Bremer.
Indeed.
The brother's just waiting the whole time. He's like, say the name.
He does. Bin Laden was involved in the first attack on the World Trade Center, which
the east as well and slightly north. So air traffic, obviously, it's a congested area.
Oh yeah, this is funny. So they have the wheel of the plane. Okay, so the titanium black boxes don't survive the impact. No, that's a prop, guys. This is the show Punked on a grand scale. They put the landing gear on the ground, right near that. They're like, look at the landing gear. Because they're trying to sell the public. I don't even think there was a plane. And a lot of people that think they saw a plane, I don't know. See, this is what I'm just speculating, but if you tell enough people that they saw a plane, they're like, yeah, it's a plane. I know, they found passports. Oh, I know, it's insane. So it was enough heat to vaporize steel, which is impossible. But yet an inflated tire is just chilling there. Just, it survived the steel melting heat and just careened, 100 and something floors down. It was just like,
restricted airspace. No planes fly that close to New York City.
Landing gear at the bottom, somewhere in lower Manhattan. It was,
imagine being a part of this deception, then finding out later. Oh, that must suck. Black dude was waiting to say his line. He's like, yeah, because you got to understand, some of these people suck at their job. Like this white dude here. He's like going on and on. The black dude's like, hit the line, Gary. I've been like this on Punk'd, where it's like I'm watching someone doing their supposedly what they're supposed to be doing to create the deception to embarrass this celebrity. And it's like, and I almost want to jump in and be like, you have to say the line. Watch this.
For something of this magnitude.
Yes, this is a very well planned, very well coordinated attack, which suggests it's
the black dude's just waiting. He's like, gotta say Bin Laden, or else he was repeating the line in his head. He was just sitting there like, make sure you say the name. It's about branding.
Organized centrally, and there are only 3 or 4 candidates in the world, really, who could have conducted this attack.
Bin Laden comes to mind.
Oh, dude, the black guy right there was like, wait a minute, 3 or 4? I bet the white guy's more valid at this point. Like, the white guy's like, there's 3 or 4, and the guy's like, Bin Laden. Because opening up the possibility to 3 or 4, bear in mind, they're already discounting China. Sorry, Alex Jones. But no one was even talking about China at all on this day. It was like, Bin Laden. And so this dude's just like, yeah, 3 or 4, and the black guy's like, no, there's only 1. Listen.
Well planned, very well coordinated attack, which suggests it's very well organized centrally, and there are only 3 or 4 candidates in the world, really, who could have conducted this attack.
Bin Laden comes to mind right away, Mr. Bremer.
Indeed, he certainly does. Bin Laden was involved.
Dude, they're such actors. They're like, indeed, yep, that's the one. They're not even good at it. I'm way better at this type of shit than these guys are. It's like, indeed, yeah. They almost sound like, remember those old Extends commercials where those women would be like talking about boner pills before Alex Jones sold them? They'd be like, that special someplace. It's like, so what satisfies you in bed, Stacy? It's like, oh, when a guy's got that extra little something special, just such terrible acting. It's like, indeed, just Bin Laden, indeed. It's so stupid.
World Trade Center, which
the east as well and slightly north. So air traffic, obviously, it's a congested area, although that was...
I mean, here we go. This is a prop. As we can see here, there's a wheel from a plane. So it had to be a plane because that's the wheel.
Restricted airspace.
Dude, that's a funny sketch. How about this sketch? False flag improv class. Someone make that.
No planes fly that close to New York City.
Landing gear at the bottom, somewhere in lower Manhattan. It was December 7th, 1941, actually the next day that FDR said this is a day that shall live in infamy.
And people on every street corner, it was like a movie, but you watch the planes hit.
Oh, this guy's a total plant. Because watch how he describes it. This isn't how people act. They seriously need better acting classes. I'm not joking. Watch how dumb this is.
I was watching with my roommate. It was approximately several...
So with my roommate, he's talking like a cop, by the way, approximately. So with his roommate means he's not alone in this. They're creating this hypnotism, right? They're creating a feeling of like, oh, it's not just him alone. It's him and his roommate.
It's after the first plane had hit. I saw this plane come out of nowhere and just ream right into the side of the Twin Tower, exploding through the other side.
Look at the details. Exploding through the other side. Not possible.
And then I witnessed both towers collapse, one first and then the second, mostly due to structural failure because
Mostly due to structural failure. Okay, so this is just a random guy on the street. Hey, random guy on the street. Well, what I witnessed is Al-Qaeda due to structural failure. Does that sound like any just random New Yorker on the street? It's very scripty. Oh, I know. He's like, so me and my roommate saw the first plane hit the tower, and then the second plane hit the tower. It blasted through the tower, so it went through the tower. And then because of structural failure, the whole thing fell down. It's like, oh, wow, no way. You're so... Watch this.
Next day that FDR said this is a day that shall live in infamy.
and people on every street corner. It was like a
His
movie.
handler's the black guy behind him. Watch the black guy behind him. He's the handler. He's being like, I wonder if he has just like a knife in his. No, they're working together, obviously.
You watched the planes hit the towers.
I was watching with my roommate. It was approximately several minutes after the first plane had hit.
Approximately several minutes after the.
Saw this plane come out of nowhere and just scream right into the side of the Twin Tower, exploding through the other side. And then
Why does he have a roommate?
As both towers collapse, one first.
He's
and
a
then
Harley Davidson enthusiast and a structural engineer.
second, mostly due to structural failure because the fire was just too intense.
Obviously, there were a lot of people inside the buildings at the time.
Two guys from the 7th precinct, the 1st precinct, the fire department right here, the 7th truck. Those guys are all right there at ground zero when those things went down. And
Okay, they're also starting a new phrase, ground zero. So this is all scripted, right? Because no one ever uses the term ground zero until this. It's just like grassy knoll. No one's ever been like, can you pull over? I got to go take a piss on that grassy knoll. So what they do is they create a new word or phrase. It's all part of wizardry, right? So they say, it ground zero there. Just a random guy who likes Harley Davidson. It's like, oh, structural, and ground zero.
There's a lot of guys there that were around there, and hopefully they made it out.
What was happening?
Where the next building blew up. And then
So now you have ethnic female. Look at the black handler behind her.
everybody's in everyone's running all over the place, a panic attack. Then after a few while later, all of a sudden people are running hysterical and we go to look and the building collapsed. So we're running and we're trying to run against
a long time later.
So this is all to talk to different demographics. So you have the white guy with a roommate. Now you have the light-skinned non-white woman. So this is supposed to be like, oh, I relate to her.
Collapse. People have been running all morning.
Work this morning. If you look behind me, you can see the very remains, the skeletal remains of the World Trade Center. And one volunteer, Robert Gerlinsky, explained to me the reason there's so little
Gerlinsky. Grab where Gerlinsky.
rubble is that all of it simply fell down.
The reason there's no rubble, just listen to this, guys. The reason there's no rubble, we're talking about a massive amount of rubble. The reason there's no rubble is because it all simply fell down.
And one volunteer, Robert Gerlinsky, explained to me the reason there's so little rubble is that all of it simply fell down.
See, and this is why they have to break your brain, because people have to just say, oh yeah, it all just simply fell down. Watch a four-story building get demolished.
Into the ground and was pulverized, evaporated.
It was evaporated, guys. It all simply fell down and was evaporated. But not the wheel of the plane. See, the wheel of the plane, like rubber that's inflated with air, no problem. But all the rubble and steel, it's just, it's simply evaporated.
Now, I should say, though, for the last several hours, there's been
beams that are here.
Someone said it turned to dust. No, it's the same volume, guys. The same volume. It doesn't. Falling a few hundred feet doesn't make rocks disappear, guys.
Restrained from expanding.
Someone said Nikola Tesla shit. We'll talk about that. I have another theory, though, but we'll talk about that.
Prevented from expanding because of this column here, for example, and that can buckle. And you see an example of a buckled beam right here.
Buckled beam. You're like, well,
on September 10th.
We'll give you some examples, but none have ever happened in history. So the only examples we can use is the one that happened on 9/11. But so where's the buckled steel? Oh, they took it away immediately and put it in a scrapyard named, I think it's called, you guys know, someone here knows this. What was the name of the scrapyard in French? It was built to go down. Yeah, I'll tell you what I think happened. But what was the name of the scrapyard? It's really funny. Nuclear chimney effect. We'll talk about it in a second. What's the name of the people need to know. It's really funny. So they took all of the buckled steel and they brought it to a scrapyard named, you guys definitely know this. No, it's not named China. It was called Fresh Kill Scrap. Fresh Kills. That was the name of the scrapyard. It was called, not kidding, it's called Fresh Kills. They think this stuff's funny. Because when you don't see it, they laugh. But it's the only time they feel joy. Oh, yeah, and then it got sent to China. Yeah, Fresh Kills. Listen,
I arrived around noon, went upstairs. There was no one there.
Look at his name. Jeff Konigsberg. This is an art form for these people. What you don't understand is, no, not Staten Island. It's called Fresh Kills. This is an ancient art to these people of deception. Ancient. That's why they're all named what they're named. This is Jeff Konigsberg. He's really setting this. And then you have another grab where he's doing the music. It's all art, guys. It's art. I kind of know it a little bit.
Started working.
So they're playing a harp. Do you know that's what Satan played? Literally a harp. Do you know that? But you know what a harp is called in the old days? A lyre. I know that this is going to go a little fast and I sound a little crazy, but I think I've paced this properly with the start of with Princess Bride and everything, where people can actually figure this out. Thespians, yes. They're like psychopathic, genocidal thespians. They're very into drama and playing their part. It's the only thing that gives them pleasure.
I believe Monica was there. She had the cameras out the window, so she was there.
During the time that the airplane coming in to the Pentagon, there was a young man who would come in and say to the vice president, the plane is 50 miles out. The plane is 30.
By the way, this isn't protocol. They would have shot down the plane. Sir, the plane is 50 miles out. The plane is 30 miles out. What do we do? It's like, God damn it, you know what we have to do, son. It's right out of a movie.
No. And when it got down to...
So what this little Asian is trying to say here is that they knew the plane was coming, and the Pentagon, $1 trillion installation of security, did nothing to stop it. And then there was no rubble of the plane at all. Listen.
Coming in to the Pentagon, there was a young man who would come in and say to the vice president, the plane is 50 miles out. The plane is 30 miles out. And when it got down to the plane is 10 miles out, the young man also said to the vice president, do the orders still stand? And the vice president turned and whipped his neck around and said, of course the order still stands.
Does the order still stand, sir? Of course the order still stands, Scagnetti. You do what has to be done. But there's women and children on that plane, sir. God damn it, don't make me do it myself, boy. Are you fucking kidding me?
Have you heard anything to the contrary? Well, at the time, I didn't know what all that meant. And
frankly, I still don't, because I can't even open my eyes.
To is the flight that came into the Pentagon.
Yeah. He's helping him with his lines. He's like, what you're saying, you're trying to say is...
Numbers of us. We see all of this video, these live
The
pictures.
way you can always tell a script is when they're using words that no one uses. It's like the ground zero thing. It's like, you can just see the little grabbler writing the script, and they're like, this one will really get him. And everybody's like, what?
The towers used to stand, but the question is, where is all the rubble?
Where is the rubble?
It seems so flattened. How could so much steel and concrete just vaporize? Did it all turn to dust?
$5 billion of insurance coverage on the WTC
See,
complex.
this is Vincini. This is the grabbler. He can't help himself. Listen to this. Larry Silverstein.
Which earlier that year had been valued at $1.2 billion. Silverstein had insisted on doubling that amount.
Oh, and much love, much respect to Colbert Report. I can tell this is his voice.
Bring the buildings for $3.55 billion. Silverstein's insurance broker struggled to put that much coverage in place and ultimately had to split it among 25 dealers.
How'd they tuck away that much rubble? Well, I'll start by saying what I think it is. I think that there was a massive, massive basement. I think it was built to be a magic trick. Just to go, ta-da! It was built 33 years before. It was all set up. They started a scrapyard called Fresh Kills. I think a lot of the World Trade Center was empty. I think it was built to be destroyed just like... I think they planned this for thousands of years, guys. Like, I'm not going to get into my theories. But I think that this is ancient shit. It was a ta-da. It was just ta-da! It was built to be taken down. They don't give these leases to just a guy, Larry Silverstein.
The complex, which earlier that year had been valued at $1.2 billion, Silverstein had insisted on doubling that amount, insuring the buildings for $3.55 billion. Silverstein's insurance broker struggled.
Yeah, there could be Tesla weapons that destroy matter and stuff, but the way my brain usually works, it's just like when people say, yeah, I mean, we didn't go to the moon in Apollo, but we've had bases there ever since. I'm like, how do you know that? It's just obvious. If I don't know anything about a weapon, I assume that there is shit that we don't understand that they have, but based on the knowledge that I know about how the world works, the highest probability I know of is that there was something huge in the basement and it went down. I'm talking like 100 floors. And it just went, because it was built to do that. It was built for that.
Put that much coverage in place and ultimately had to split it among 25 dealers.
Reporter goes into building. So building 7 it never was leaning. This is a reporter in building 7. Does it just please use your mind about how a building would collapse like this? Look at the fundamental sound structure of it. Watch him. It's fascinating, guys. It's fascinating stuff. By the way, this is blatantly a movie set. Like, I'm not saying they shot this on a movie set, but this is how Punk'd would be. You go to a real place, but you make it yours. You make it your movie set. You know, Punk'd wasn't shot in a green screen or in a studio. It wasn't faked. That was real life. But you would set it up. You'd have key people. You know, I was the valet in one episode. The other episode, I was a rich investor. You know, when we did 3-6 Mafia, or the one against the Ashley Parker Angel from O-Town, I was the animal control guy. It was still at the zoo, but it's like I can see this completely how they do this. Owen, did you see the Alaska University did a test to show building 7 narrative is it's so false. You don't have, it's like saying, did you see that university proved that you go pee-pee out of your penis? It's like, I don't seek approval from universities. They're terrible. Universities are run by some of the sickest people alive. My theory would explain the burning for nearly 5 years later. Yeah, all the rubble went into a giant hole. Giant. Guys, like 100 stories. That's why there was still burning, and so that's why they had to wait so long before rebuilding and all that stuff, because there was still thermite. I think it was thermite. That's what I think, but whatever. All right, anyway. Giuliani is so suspect. He's part of the deception, yes, but you can't just blame one group, because it isn't one group. Except for demons. Okay, so this building collapses soon after this. Look at the structure of it. It's fine. 100 stories on an island? Yeah.
Did the side of the building come down? I don't know. Something fell. What'd you see?
Okay, so this guy works for the Secret Service, by the way, too. Listen.
It was pretty clear at one point, and then there's a whole bunch of smoke and glass. And I think we're just about the last ones in this building right now. I think you should leave.
He's clearing the building. He's like, I think you should leave. Look at the structure of this building. It's fine.
Everyone else is gone. Okay. I'll just make sure that there's nobody else coming downstairs. What do you think happened? I hear the top of the building fell down. Fell over on us.
So he's lying. The top of the building didn't fall over. So that means he's in. See, lies show. If people that are improving based on what they're doing, that's when you really see the lies. Because no one told him that because it wasn't true.
I don't know. I haven't seen outside yet. Have you, when were you here? Pardon me?
After your planes landed?
As a matter of fact, I was standing right underneath 6 World Trade when a building actually, the plane hit it the first time.
Describe it.
You had a plane, the engine screaming, and then just an explosion. Glass, then everybody was running around trying to get away.
Tell me your name and spell it.
He's desperately trying to improv right now.
Bennett, Bennette.
Sergeant?
No, Secret Service.
Secret Service? How do you want your title?
OST.
Look at it. He doesn't even. He's having a hard time remembering his name.
Glass. Then everybody was running around trying to get away.
Tell me your name and spell it.
Bennett, Bennette.
Sergeant?
No.
Why is his hard hat off? Exactly. He's losing the thread. I know. Because there's weaknesses everywhere.
Service.
Secret Service? How do you want your title?
OST.
OST, thank you.
All right.
He sees relief when he was done being questioned. Watch this. He's like, all right, let's get out of here before it drops.
Thank you.
All right.
Real second point, I was there. It could have been a missile. It could have been a hologram. You don't know what it was. It wasn't a plane. Like, it wasn't a jumbo jet. Those jets, according to pilots, can't make that turn and do what they did. But I think people could see something. Something was there. It wasn't colored the right color of, was it United? I can't even remember. But it was either gray to white or white to gray. It wasn't the right color of plane.
Of how much of the plane actually impacted the building.
This one was preposterous. Preposterous. Yeah, probably a drone. Yeah, that's a good idea. Hologram would be really hard to. I don't know, but I don't know what it was. A drone. I'm guessing it was a drone. Yeah. Let off some steam, Bennett. Yeah, it was a big Hollywood production. Yeah, it's just like Punk'd.
That way, but from my close-up inspection, there's no evidence of a plane having crashed anywhere near the Pentagon. The only site.
Someone's like, dude, what? You're doing the anchoring right now. No plane. Of course, there's no plane at the Pentagon. They have no footage of it. It's like, yeah, but there's no. All the cameras just malfunctioned at the Pentagon. You sure? Yeah, all the cameras just didn't stop working at the most secure location on the entire Earth. Have you been watching pornos? Yes. What I tell you about watching pornos? It makes me sad and gullible.
Side of the building that's crashed in, and as I said, the only pieces left.
He's trying to save lives, though. Yeah, dude, that's the thing about all this stuff. A lot of these guys weren't in on it. I don't know what that guy knew, but he wasn't being honest. But yeah, a lot of these people are probably trying to sweep and get lives out and stuff. But he's been told something from his superior, and he's trying to pass it on, and he doesn't know anything. But he's lying.
That you can see are small enough that you could pick up in your hand. There are no large tail sections, wings affiliate, a Fox affiliate.
Okay, bear in mind, when it fell from the World Trade Center, there was an intact wheel. But there was zero plane debris at all when it hit the Pentagon.
Just a couple of minutes ago, and Chris, I've seen the pictures. It looks like there's nothing there except for a hole in the ground.
Basically, that's right. The only thing you could see from where we were was a big gouge in the earth and some broken trees.
There was a lot of fuck-ups on 9/11, by the way. This was not supposed to happen. They had to do this whole narrative that there was another plane and someone tried to hijack it, and then heroes rose up and stuff. This wasn't a plane at all. I mean, not every production has fuck-ups, and you hope your improv guys can come through. Guys, this is exactly like the show Punk'd. I'm telling you. This was a fuck-up.
The only thing you could see from where we were was a big gouge in the earth and some broken trees. We could see some people walking around in the area, but
they weren't set up. These are real people right here. This wasn't supposed to happen. There's people being like, there's no plane here. This is nonsense. And everybody's like, all the grabblers are like, what? Oh, no. Get our guys down there with our black handlers.
There wasn't much left.
Any large pieces of debris at all?
No, there was nothing that you could distinguish that a plane had crashed there.
Smoke, fire?
Nothing. It was absolutely...
That's a real guy.
It was...
That building right there collapsed in free fall. Dude, Ashton Kutcher is about to come out and be like, "What's up, man?" Oh, this is fascinating. So, again, the tire and the passport survive. This is what makes me think, I don't know how thermite works totally, but this makes it look a little like it was one of those energy weapon things. Look at what it did to the cars. Just the cars. This is where the technology goes past my my understanding.
Get enough. Okay, let's go.
So that building collapses, but look at the cars.
No. Go low to the corner.
They were framing the shot just like they did with the moon landing, where they're like, no, get it like that. Because this isn't. All right, let's watch. Like, look at the devastation of these cars. This is what makes me think energy weapon. But again, I think thermite, but I don't quite understand this. Someone said air compression will blow out the windows. Yeah, maybe, but look at the insides of the cars. It looks like they were all burned out. Wait till you see it. Look at that. That's crazy.
Let's go. Go. Very difficult to breathe. You have to look around. This must have been ground zero where this thing blew up. Car after car after car.
He's using ground zero too. But yeah, these are props. But that guy doesn't look like he knows what's really happening. He's just kind of like reciting stuff. That looks like energy weapons to me.
Behind me, that gaping hole, that's where one of the two towers stood. It's not there.
Becker said something way smaller than a nuke. Becker's, there's no nukes. It's all good.
It's a surreal environment. It's almost impossible to describe. Except to make a war correlation. Whoever said somebody declared war, it certainly looks like that. Good.
This is what they claim happened. Lamp pole 1 is struck, causing damage to a taxi cab. All right. Sorry for laughing. I know this is intense. Light pole 2 is hit. Landing near some trees. By the way, none of the lamp poles were hit. Props, guys. Get out there and get down a lamp pole. Dude. Sorry for laughing. Lamp pole 4 is struck. Smoke begins to billow from, right? But bear in mind, there's no plane after all of this. Lamp pole 5. Okay, so they know all about these lamp poles, but no cameras. I gotta stop laughing. It's very disrespectful of the victims. Actually, no, if I was a victim of something like this, I'd want people to laugh. Security B. Security cam video. Let's see the security cam video. What is this? Oh, yeah, this is the security cam video. This is the only video. The only video of the whole thing. They didn't have great tech back. They didn't have the same kind of CGI. So this is the view from the security lens, the fisheye lens. This is it. All of the Pentagon, just like Jeffrey Epstein's thing. This is the only footage of the plane hitting the Pentagon. Ready? Here it comes. Wait for it. Just like the moon landing. Here it comes. Laughing breaks spells. Yeah, that's true, Ben. No victims, just holograms. No, there's. I know firefighters that have health problems because of it. That's all. That's all the footage they have. That's it. That'd be funny if a grabbler just drew a plane on there. That's the entire footage. That's it. This is ridiculous. Oh, I know. And people like me are just called names and demonized because I point out the obvious. Do you still think that crazy kooks are... This is what a conspiracy is. This is it. This is the only... And then, you know, that's the only shot. Might as well have been a rocket. It was most likely a drone. So that, they say that hit the Pentagon, and there's no debris at all. I mean, that's it. Why weren't the lampposts vaporized? Right, I know. I think that this was probably a bomb that was in the building. Major damage, minor damage. That's so dumb. People believe this stuff, though, man. It's like, this stuff got people to hate Muslims. You know, just this alone made people be like, we gotta kill 6 million Muslims. Generator and grounds. All right. We all know that this is nonsense, but let's just finish this off. It was a missile. Well, Connington-Bear, you're Florida trash, so why don't you just know your place, Connington-Bear. Ground structure damage. This is them trying to like show how it all happened. That it was all a plane. Can you imagine the grabblers who put together this PowerPoint? What do we have here? Is the audio out or something? What happened to my audio? Yeah. Why isn't there no audio? All right, so the plane knocked down the 70-story World Trade Center but damaged the 5-story. That and a $1 billion terrorist atrocity. These aren't terrorists, guys. This was obvious. Inside Job doesn't begin to describe this. The magic disappear. Islam is a religion. Muslims aren't terrorists. Right. This is when it was built 33 years before. This is how you know it was all steel. They're setting up the magic trick.
A project of this size created enormous challenges. Challenges that demanded the use of dramatic new engineering concepts.
Which is, oh man, they didn't have that. Oh, hang on. What's this? Morgan Stanley.
A project of this size created enormous challenges. Challenges that demanded the use of dramatic new engineering concepts.
So funny. All right. They did say in one of those videos that in case a plane ever hit it. 9/11 did not make any sense at all for 10 years until I stumbled upon the truth of the 9/11 conspiracy. All right, well, that's it for that. I'll open like a letter or two and then call it a day.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Thank you for watching Hidden Hand. Let me know what you think below. one love, one vibration.